Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Hosted by Korea Health Industry Development Institute. Welcome to BioKorea 2020 Invest Fair. I am announcer Hong Seon, today's MC. This event is to introduce pharmaceutical and bio and healthcare companies' core technologies, as well as to share their strategies and visions to potential investors. The company for this time is Huinno. Huinno is AI-based digital healthcare device company, and specifically, Huinno's Memo Watch has passed the Regulation Sandbox 1 by the Korean government and got official approval from Ministry of Health and Welfare. Let's have President Gil Young-jun of Huinno for details. Good to see you, President Gil.
Good to see you. I'm President Gil Young-jun of Huinno. Huinno is focusing on electrocardiogram device, and we collect and analyze data of ECG. And we also have AI-based software. Let's begin with the introduction of our company. Huinno was founded in July 2017, and it was the first Korean company to develop a wearable device and got approval from the KFDA, and remotely patients can send their medical conditions to medical staff. And we were selected to Regulation Sandbox 1 device, and we have recently finished the Series 8 investment. And the first time in Korea, we got approval from the Health Insurance Review and Assessment Service as a wearable device. And in 3 months, we will make it possible to list our device on U Healthcare. And in August, we aim to introduce our devices to Korean people so that they can get reimbursement from the Korean government as an insurance and enjoy our devices. The strength of our device is that anywhere, anytime, patients can send their data to medical staff, and those medical staff can send responses to patients. So we've already passed the certificate processes, and as well as having the discussion of reimbursement of the Korean authorities, so we can introduce the device. And in terms of the Memo Watch, we can assess ECG, heart rate, as well as respiration rate, as well as oxygen saturation. But currently, we only have the heart rate, respiratory rate, and ECG rate approved. But in the future, if we get additional approvals, then patients can use the same device to get additional services. And as for the Memo Patch, you can monitor your ECG for 2 weeks continuously. And not only ECG, you can monitor your heart rate as well as respiratory rates. And recently, we're putting all our efforts into this Memo Band, and later in the second half of this year, we expect to introduce this to the Korean market. And this device has all the strengths combined of the aforementioned devices, and it can also monitor your temperature. So the recent coronavirus pandemic is bringing a lot of worries, but patients can remotely monitor their health conditions and send medical staff, and the medical staff can receive reliable data. Let's move on to our innovativeness. Conventionally, when heart beats, or if you have arrhythmia, then you go through an Holter's ECG monitoring system. But compared to this conventional methods, it is really convenient, and it massively reduces the time and cost so that patients can get immediate responses. And moreover, as for patients, you can preemptively find out that if you have arrhythmia symptoms or not, and get medical advices. So this can dramatically cut down the medical cost caused by arrhythmia. So the Korean government can drastically save the medical spendings. Let's move on to the market. The conventional Holter's ECG monitoring system is really inconvenient. It's really inconvenient to wear the devices, and the medical staff's efforts has low efficiency. But this new paradigm of ECG solution is going to meet the exponential needs. And in order to replace the conventional market, we're introducing our devices. And in the United States, already in terms of this ECG monitoring, it is widely famous and well known. And one example is to mention the conventional Holter's ECG monitoring system. The accuracy is really low. As for arrhythmia, the symptoms don't just appear every day. You never know when the symptoms are going to appear, but for the ECG monitoring system, the conventional ones, it can monitor your health for only 24 hours. So within the 24 hours, the data may say that you're healthy, but if there's no symptoms detected, then the data will say that you're okay. But although there are a lot of patients with arrhythmia symptoms, but they are not detected. But our devices can monitor your health continuously for 2 weeks. So the accurate rate will be 99% to get rid of patients' inconvenience. And to move on, according to the previous research data from academia, when they conducted a random study, the percentage of finding out those arrhythmia patients is less than 1%. However, if you use our device to continuously monitor patients' health conditions, then it can come up with clear diagnosis with up to 12 folds of rate. And in terms of waiting time and appointment time, compared to if a patient goes to Seoul National University, you have to wait for about 148 days. But if you use our device, then you can get diagnosis within 10 days, which means the diagnosis rate is really high and the waiting time and appointment time is dramatically reduced. So thanks to the strengths, in the United States, there is a new market emerging and a new trend is already moving up. There's a company called iRhythm. They came up with a device where you put this device on your chest, and they had cooperation with Bayer, and they work on co-promotion and co-solution, and they came up with a lot of synergy to increase their sales. And a lot of pharmaceutical companies are paying their clinical costs to iRhythm. This company, iRhythm, was founded in 2004 and got the first approval from FDA, and in 2016 it got reimbursed code to enter the market. And late in 2016 they went public on Nasdaq, and as of last year the market capital was $2.2 billion, but this year it's almost 3.4 billion, so it is dramatically increasing. So it has been 4 years since they went public on Nasdaq, but even those analysts who conduct research, they say this company's potential is outstanding and it is unlimited, which shows that this market has a lot of potentials. As of now, this company is taking about 90% of the Holter's ECG monitoring system. They replaced 90% of the market, and just like that in Korea, we are striving to do the same. So we have this one and only technology, and we are currently having this partnership with Yuhan Pharmaceuticals, and they invested 5 billion Korean won. And in terms of anticoagulant or other medicine, we will create synergy with Yuhan Pharmaceuticals. As of now, one of the medicine that are prescribed to arrhythmia patients is anticoagulant. This is a high efficient medicine to make blood thinner with low side effects. And as of now, in the Korean market, this industry is meeting its golden years. Of course, most of the prescriptions are focused on level 3 hospitals, but they are also used in level 1 hospitals. And in order to come up with precise prescription and analysis, hospitals need accurate and convenient analysis solutions, just like our devices. So thanks to such needs, the digital healthcare, the entire market from prevention to diagnosis, treatment, and monitoring and management, we can have partnership with Yuhan Pharmaceuticals to provide you with the best solutions. The main targets that we're focusing on are to monitor intensively. For those patients who want to monitor their health intensively, they can use these patchable devices. And for watches or bands, can be used for healthy people or just people who are worried about their health or who have intermittent symptoms. Let's move on to our competitors. If you search ECG patch or ECG analysis device on Google, there are a lot of results. There are about 10,000, 100,000 companies or devices, but if you search for FDA or KFDA approved devices, then the number will decrease to less than 10. And those companies who developed these, in terms of hardware, the average level has increased. And among the processes, in terms of competition, I can summarize that into two. One is continuing time. Two is analyzing software. In terms of continuous time, like I said, you have to monitor a patient's health for 2 weeks to increase the accuracy rate to 99%. If you take a look at the devices, it takes about 3 days or 2.5 days of analysis. And in terms of software, nowadays artificial intelligence based software is getting a lot of recognition. So those conventional algorithm based software in from those medical doctors' perspectives, they say it's useless, not so efficient. So in terms of these fields, you should monitor the competitiveness. So to add a little bit more information here, in terms of those ECG software, it has been 50 years. IBM, Mayo Clinic, G Healthcare, HP, Medtronics, among other companies, those very famous hospitals and companies have been developing ECG related software. However, when they conducted this clinical trial, the softwares were worse than well trained doctors. So, after the 1990s, as a standard of the New England Journal, they recommend a well trained doctor to conduct ECG rather than the software. So, those conventional algorithm based software, they're not practical nor efficient. So AI based solutions are under development. And in the United States, those companies or devices taking 90% of the market share indicate that they could do so thanks to the power of the software itself. As for ECG, 99% turn out to say patients are normal and less than 1% is abnormal. And in order to find this less than 1%, those medical staff and software companies and devices companies are putting a lot of efforts. If you conduct a 24-hour study, then there are about 2,880 images printed out, and you have to find less than 1% of pages which are wrong, which is very challenging for people. It's like playing hide and seek or playing Where's Wally, but the human beings are not so well designed for such manual task, in my personal opinion. So, as I have mentioned before, well trained doctors with more than 20 years of experiences, their accuracy rate is 75.5%, which means every time 1 out of 4 patients are being missed. And among the massive data, most of the normal signals are well trained by our devices to erase the abnormals. So thanks to this AI, we have high tech and we have neural technology to analyze single channel, but also we can use multi-channel to analyze our data. So it can classify the normals and abnormals, and the test accuracy is 98.68%. And moreover, these data are already published on famous journals. And what we would like to stress out is that those compared to the conventional studies, we have more explainable artificial intelligence. Namely, which parts from AI's perspectives, seem strange. Then they mark those parts and tell medical staff. So the medical staff can fully highlight and focus on those marked parts. Then they can just save all the conventional unnecessary energies they had to spend or waste. So in terms of this high tech, it is not we that solely develop this, but we're having partnership with a lot of experts and professors and medical specialists. We have about 20 specialists, and we made use of 50,000 patients, 100,000 patients. Let's move on to the strength of Huinno. In 2019, we got approval from the Korean government, the KFDA, and we got listed as Regulation Sandbox 1 and making use of this in the actual fields. And moreover, we got direct investment from the Korean authorities, the Minister of Health, and we're developing rapidly. And also, the Arrhythmia Association is raising voices that they have to use devices such as ours. And not only in Korea, but also in order to expand to the Asian market, we are working on clinical trial in the Vietnamese market, and we're paving the road to do so. And as for artificial intelligence, among those professors, there is Professor Yoon Sung-no from Seoul National University. We're having this co-research from 2020 to 2023. We signed an MOU. And recently, Professor Yoon Sung-no was designated as chair of Presidential Committee on the Fourth Industrial Revolution to lead the Fourth Industrial Revolution in Korea. And recently, we're having partnership with Korea University Hospital, and we began recruiting patients, and a lot of patients are actively using these devices outside of hospitals, such as their homes or workplaces. This picture shows Minister of Science and ICT Choi Ki-young, and thanks with this event, the minister came to our office to use our device to send his medical conditions to Korea University Hospital so the medical staff can check the medical condition real time and analyze the data. And thanks to this event in Korea, the remote monitoring system got legalized and the market began operating. Let's move on to the milestones. As of now, our watches got KFDA approval as well as the reimbursement discussion, and in the future, we aim to list our patches as KFDA approval as well, and also the bands. We will put our efforts to counter the coronavirus with our device. When we list our code, get the insurance code from the Health Insurance Review and Assessment Service, we will introduce the devices, and we aim to go public in 2022 on CoStock. And the global market has a lot of potentials in my perspective. So not only in Korea, but Asia, Europe, or North American markets are really hot, big, and we expect to take a huge market share. Let's move on our teams. We have the best of the best. I myself is a biometric sensors specialist, and I have PhD and I have been engaged in this field for 20 years, and our CTO is an artificial intelligence specialist. And also, there are mathematicians working on AI, as well as a lot of medical staff in our company to develop our device to make it high tech. And those specialists in the Science Advisory Board, we have invited a lot of famous and renowned specialists from overseas. And let's move on to our efficiency. I'm confident that we can maximize our efficiency. Those ECG devices that could be used outside of hospitals are implantable ECG, event ECG, Holter's ECG, but we have much more affordable with higher efficiency compared to those conventional devices. And moreover, the key value that we can deliver is that a lot of a lot of convenience delivered to patients, and it is affordable, and they can prevent stroke among other diseases. So those providers, such as insurance companies and the Korean government, they can cut down the medical costs dramatically. So they have high expectations. And from hospitals' perspectives, those level three hospitals can increase their productivity. So thanks to our artificial intelligence solution, conventionally they could only examine 20 to 30 patients, but thanks to our device, they can examine 100 patients. And for those hospitals, those devices, devices costed hundreds of millions of Korean won in order to accurately analyze those patients. However, thanks to the enlistment, without this massive investment, you can easily examine those patients. Thanks to that, you can prescribe new medicines thanks to this device, which will open a new market. So this is tailored for the level 1 hospitals. So in terms of our expandability, not only those watches, but wearables, patches, earables, or even it can be used for vehicles. So we will further developing our goods, and not only ECG, but also we can use it for non-invasive solutions or blood pressure solution or blood sugar solution, among others, which is part of our ultimate goal. For patients, they can enjoy healthy lifestyle and prevent diseases thanks to our solution, and they can preemptively diagnose with any possible diseases. And moreover, you don't necessarily have to go to a hospital, but non-face to face you can send your medical health conditions to medical doctors or medical staff. And moreover, through this synergy created with partnership with pharmaceutical companies, we can also pave another road or chance for patients, and even after getting treatment, not only inside in a hospital, but also they can manage their health at their workplaces or home, which is another goal or vision of ours that we will pave in the future. So that is all for my presentation. Thank you for listening.
So we have listened to details of Huinno's technology. Nowadays, a lot of investors are interested in this field. So I look forward to seeing additional advancements. Thank you, Chris and Peter, for your presentation.